gentlemen. I am absolutely overawed to have this fabulous panel with me. This is a group of connoisseurs, most experienced, most knowledgeable, most articulate and erudite. So I'm deeply honored, and I'm sure all of you want to hear them immediately and their views on various subjects. So I'll dive straight right in.
Just in case you need some.
And I think what's been clear through the day today is that travel and hospitality is having its golden moment. And I think it's here to stay. And that's very, very encouraging for all levels of hotel, luxury, deluxe, whatever. With that, and knowing that there are aspiring markets, emerging markets, the fact that there is disposable income, I think we know that consumers are buying travel and experience far more than material goods. So since research has shown us travel is growing, and we know that luxury and premium travel is growing equally, I want to ask my panel whether they agree with this view. Are they seeing this in their line of work? And most importantly, what are the new trends besides business and the sightseeing leisure, and of course, the big fat Indian wedding traveler? Besides that, what are the new trends that you all are seeing? Mary?
Oh my goodness, that could take all of 40 minutes, and I'm delighted to be sharing this panel with these very esteemed people. I think the biggest trend, and this came up in a panel of which I was in charge a short time ago, at top level, which is what I write about mostly, that the two main trends are authenticity and service. And it was interesting to hear Tony Capuano this morning saying that India has something that few other nations in the world have, which is demographics, which actually support service. So I would like to say that those two main trends, which are universal, will benefit India substantially.
Thank you. Puneet?
Thank you, Ragini, and Mandeep, thank you for having me on this esteemed panel. It's truly an honor sitting next to Mary, who I've followed for, well, most of my hospitality career, over 30 years.
Please don't say how long.
I take that back. It was just last few years ago I started. So I think, Ragini, the luxury, first of all, I think it's very subjective. In a lot of cases, it's contextual. And further to what Mary said, I think today people are not looking for opulence. Of course, they're looking for authentic experiences, immersiveness, local culture. But I think today, the luxury we are seeing, or what we are working on, is quiet luxury. It doesn't have to be loud and bling like it used to be, so people are not interested in all that marble and all the chandeliers. Of course, you have some beautiful properties around the world that have that. But I think today, the luxury traveler is looking for bespoke experiences, money can't buy experiences, something, which is not easily accessible to everybody. So that's where we as Minor and, Anantara has been pioneer in luxury, especially in the leisure luxury resorts. And today we, of course, have a lot of city hotels, whether it's the Anantara in Rome or the Anantara in Budapest. And we've just opened the Anantara in Jaipur. But I think the key word for me when I think about luxury today, it's quiet luxury.
So I do want to stress a bit on what's the kind of travel, what is inspiring people to travel beyond the business, leisure, and of course, the big fat Indian wedding.
To me?
Mohit, first to you.
Well, I mean, if you eliminate all the obvious reasons to travel, I think COVID has resulted in people traveling because they can. There is a saying in Hindi, which two of my panelists may not know. It's called Kal Ho Na Ho, which means God knows whether there is tomorrow. And therefore, people are traveling because they have the income, they have the desire, and they are not certain about the future, so they might as well live it up as much as they can. To Mary's point of authenticity, and it's very true, and that's where I believe our country has a specific advantage. Hospitality for us has never been about anything other than sincere welcoming from the heart. We are taught this as children. Our teams at the hotels have it ingrained in them as values taught to them by their parents and their elders. We've always welcomed people to our homes, and we've always tried to do things that were meaningful and personalized for them. And because we do this naturally, authentically, because it's ingrained in us, the impact that we have on our guests is far more deep and far more impactful. And it is therefore this combination of travel because you can and you should and you must, and come back with memories that are created by people who truly care, that's building this, huge volume of travel that is taking place.
David?
So, thank you, and it's a joy to be on stage with all of you guys. Going to Mary's point on authenticity and service, I'd like to deepen that. I think we've got to look through different lenses now. The generation that is desiring some sort of superlative luxury that's perhaps an older generation requires a different optic to perhaps the younger generation. And I think what's common across all what we would deem high-end or luxury travel, which I know we're going to discuss a little bit more, what does luxury mean? But everyone who travels is eliciting deeper emotions now. They're looking to be touched by, be it an authentic experience, be it or some form of experience, and even more so, they're looking for human connection. And all of us who travel a vast amount want to be recognized. We want to have that memory. And even if it's in our subconscious or consciously, we're looking for connections which provide that memory, which subconsciously deliver the experience to the brand, to an Anantara, or to whatever to Oberoi, or to whatever the brand is. It's all about not as much service as hospitality being about human connection, about connecting, whether it's with your partner, with somebody who's giving you some sort of experience, but it's all, for me, about connection now.
Can I interrupt at
Please.
this point? Actually, David, I'm absolutely in agreement with you, but the word human needs to be expanded a little bit. Many people in this room will know about the White Lotus effect. Look what's happened. White Lotus episode 1 filled most of Hawaii. White Lotus number 2 did the same thing for a certain part of Italy. White Lotus episode 3, which is showing right now, is set in Koh Samui, and actually 3 of your hotels, Puneet, are official White Lotus hotels because they appear in it. And I'd like quickly to share what happened when Netflix, on their excellent series, Inventing Anna, based on a real-life Russian-born fixer who then went to jail in New York. She, according to Netflix, scammed La Mamounia in Marrakesh.
Yeah.
That was actually not true, but La Mamounia was thrilled because within 24 hours of this being featured on Netflix, they had 50,000 serious hits, which resulted in equally serious business. And we're seeing the same thing too. People connecting with their sports stars, with their entertainment stars, or with their Bollywood heroes.
I'd like to add something to that. I mean, obviously, the Lost in Translation for the Park Hyatt in Tokyo is another example of that. But the point that I wanted to make, and this is when I talk about typologies and the guest mix, the younger generation today, to this point, Mary, the younger generation today are so fickle. So today it's White Lotus, tomorrow it's something else. And for the high-end traveler and the perception of luxury, the impact of social media and whatever other ways you're receiving communication dramatically enables or changes people's minds as to where they go.
No, you know, if I can just add, yeah, and thank you, Mary, about talking about White Lotus 3, which incidentally was shot in 4 of our hotels because we own the Four Seasons Koh Samui as well. Mine owns 3 Four Seasons in Thailand.
The same owner, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of
So
course.
Mina owns the Four Seasons, and it was shot in Anantara, Lavana, and there's a shot in Anantara in Phuket as well. But again, Emily in Paris is a classic example. The Taylor Swift impact, how Taylor Swift brings, you know, tourism into any city. The fantastic deal Singapore did by getting exclusivity for Taylor Swift. So I think Thailand next year, well, this year we did the EDC in Phuket. Next year we're looking at Tomorrowland for first time coming to Thailand. So I think all, whether it's music, sports, India-Pakistan match last week in Dubai, I mean, the hotel room rates were off the roof. Airlines, so everything. I think it's a bit of a circular economy, and everybody gains what's happening. And to David's point, with the social media, it goes viral instantly, and the whole world knows about it.
Absolutely. And I think you touched upon sports, you touched upon a little bit of events, and that's what's making people travel, and the visual media, and that's what's making people travel. But in India, we of course have the spiritual tourism, which is a huge thing. I don't know if that exists in many other parts of the world, but in India we have it. But here we also have a lot of wellness and a lot of, you know, health-related facilities. Do you see that as a trend in leisure and luxury?
If I may just take that one up front, because otherwise, once Mary, David, and Puneet have spoken, I can only smile benignly. So, actually, to David's point about the next generation, what I'm finding is that I personally don't worry about White Lotus and the flavor of the day, because with every right swipe it changes. And what I've found is that the more things change, the more actually they remain the same. So the desire for authenticity, for experiences, for memories that can allow me to take back with me something of the destination, all of it provided by people who are sincere, that remains unchanging throughout all of this. To this point of wellness, and wellness as a concept has been, many people have been doing it for many years. The change that I'm seeing over there is that people don't just want body work as one part, as the only part of wellness. In fact, what I'm finding is that wellness is more and more, and especially with the younger generation, a question of lifestyle choices which start from the morning with either breath work or yoga or flexibility related exercises. It goes through the day with maybe a massage or body work as we call it, nutrition through all the 3 meals, and ending the day with the gratitude and visualizing what the next day is. So it's no longer, and if we think hospitality is going to be about having a great spa, that was all right, but now it has to be the entire spectrum, and the entire spectrum done at depth, not done at the superficial level, because if there is one thing that is the opposite of authenticity and turns people off, is this wannabe thing, and greenwashing is another term. So all I'm saying is that yes, well-being is important, but across the range, not just one aspect of it in one physical structure in the hotel.
My experience, or our company's experience, is over the last 12 months, I would say 6 or 7 of the leading hospitality companies in the world have come to us and to others, but to us, to look to deepen their wellness offering, to make it far more to exactly to this point, but to give it, basically to brand it, to give it identity, to give it meaning, to give it some form of context, some form of content. And the wellness offering across the hospitality industry, I'm predicting, is going to dramatically shift over the next couple of years.
Yes, how do you differentiate one property, one brand from another? Because there are certain brands, and I better not mention them or I'll lose lots of friends, that actually are moving closer towards each other because corporates, to save money, are blending brands together at corporate level. So other than then having saved lots of money by sharing corporate, these brands have to invest even more money in David to try and differentiate.
But they're elevating wellness into the core brand, and that's the difference. So rather than it being an adjunct to the brand, they're now elevating wellness to be actually part of the core.
So if I can add, and I think David knows, if some of you are not aware, David was, I would say, one of the pioneers of the Anantara brand many, many years ago with Minor Hotel Group. So
Thank you. Free advertising.
Free advertising, of course. So wellness, I think, and Mohit is absolutely right, is more than just spa treatment or something. So we at Minor Hotels, and especially for the Anantara brand, and I would invite everybody who's there, we've just opened. For us, wellness is all of life wellness. It's a holistic approach. So whether you need traditional Thai medicine, whether it's Botox or fillers, whether it's IV treatments, whether it's NAD or Myers cocktail or a vitamin D or a B or a C booster you want, or you want to do sound therapy, sound healing, cryosacral therapy, or you want to go in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, or you want to go in cryogenic chamber where you're basically at minus 110 degrees for 3 minutes to relax your muscles and improve your blood flow. So we've just opened what we call Life as a wellness program at the Anantara Layan in Phuket. It's a 20,000 square feet facility at Anantara Layan in Phuket. And I would highly encourage you, lionlife.com. Please have a look at our website. So we are taking wellness to a completely different level. Because, again, a good example would be Shivasom in Thailand, which is 28 years old. But let's say if I go with my wife, you know, she might be interested in wellness. Perhaps I don't want to be vegetarian and miss my tequila or gin tonic in the evening, right? So that's what we think. Again, luxury is flexibility. Luxury is what you want whenever you want.
Yes. We didn't actually mention flexibility, which is another attribute of feeling better. I'm trying to get away from the word luxury because it's just so common now, but I know what you mean. Personalized, bespoke, something that's for you. And it's when you want it, but you didn't realize that you actually wanted it. I have a column that goes into private members clubs, and what I'm trying to do there is to tell these people who have everything things that they didn't know that they might be interested in, which is exactly the same as somebody who stays in a hotel and suddenly they're offered the opportunity to go, let's say, heli skiing. They'd never tried it, but hey, why not? Something that is a bit of a surprise and is coming to you personally. And Oberoi is very good at that. There's a feeling in an Oberoi hotel, hey, somebody thought of that. And I was fascinated. Remember, I'm not Indian, but I was having a lovely lunch in Oberoi, Gurgaon, and suddenly a man appeared with a paddleboard bat, and he was looking for a fly to try and squash it. Now, perhaps that's normal for all of you to see, but I thought that was something. To me, it was the word that I don't use. It was personalized, just in case there happened to be a fly around, which of course, being Oberoi, there was no fly.
I mean, it's very kind of you to say that. Actually, one of our training modules that we run in our hotels we make it a big effort to ensure that our team's proficiency and ability to communicate in English is perennially improving even as they work with us. So we do insist on all communication amongst team members being in English, and of course with guests being in their preferred language of choice. But one training program in our company starts with a Hindi word, and I'm sorry, Mary, I'll explain this to you a little later. And we talk about a word which is known and spoken about only in the hospitality industry in India. It's a Hindi word, and it normally is used when it gets really, really busy. And when it gets really, really busy, there is this word which is starting with the alphabet B, and everybody in the room knows it, but we call it bhasad. And the bhasad, Mary, is when things
Chaotic.
go out of control, when it's
Chaotic.
chaotic. And the moment things get chaotic, what you will see is people start walking at a pace which is faster than the norm. And the moment you see people walking faster than the norm, it means you're losing control. And the moment you start to lose control is our first warning sign that guests will stop experiencing the Oberoi service. And what we mean by that is that in order for us to be able to provide intuitive service, we must know by intuition what the guest does not as yet know that they need. And for you to know by intuition, you have to be focusing on guests with all senses, watching, looking, observing. And the moment you start to lose control, your focus will shift. The moment the focus shifts, your senses are not on the guest. The moment your senses are not attuned to the guest, it will not be intuitive, and if it's not intuitive, it's not Oberoi. And that, therefore, for us is critical. And I'm really thankful, and I think you mentioned an example with the flowers, and Mary, you with the fly. I promise you there must have been a fly, because the person comes around when he knows there's a fly. But
I haven't seen a fly. I've been around for a month now. I've seen masses of monkeys, which have actually turned into a great joy. In Rishikesh, I came across a lot of things that were really astounding, that the foreign visitors who were there in droves, things like palm readers and people doing instant henna at afternoon tea. Something we actually haven't covered, I think, which is very important. To get up to this level with the L word that I'm trying not to use,
Yeah.
Nothing must go wrong, and that's essential.
Absolutely.
So, oh, showers, don't get me on showers. A couple of times on this trip, I actually have been in the shower without any clothes on, and obviously I can't call anybody, so I can't have a shower. The modern showers, I'm sure we've got some modern shower suppliers here, so I hope I'm not going to offend them. Modern showers are designed for designers to win awards, not for customers. So nothing must go wrong at luxury level. Do we all agree?
No, I think absolutely. In the end, you know, the technology should be an enabler. It shouldn't be a hindrance. And if you need to read a manual how to use a shower, obviously, I think as a company, somebody's gone wrong, and of course, designer might win an award. But taking on to your point, Mary, earlier, your experience in Rishikesh, and we try to do the same in whether it's in Maldives or in Vietnam or in Thailand, it's the local immersions. How do you bring the culture from outside, inside the hotel for the guests to experience? So in India, it's henna. In Thailand, it could be a cooking class with the Thai herbs and the spices, or some rituals and ceremonies and the signature experiences. I think that's what people are looking for, whether it's luxury or not. And in minor hotels, of course, we have luxury Anantara brand. We do own NH hotels in Europe, and of course, the Avani brand, which is a premium brand. So the basic of hospitality remains the same. Of course, it goes to a different level when you're at luxury, and to Mohit's point on intuition, and I've always believed if the guest has to ask, then there's something missing, because we should be able to anticipate and exceed the guest's expectation.
So we've spoken about wellness and the holisticness of wellness and the cultural immersion, the experiences that are happening. Do you see another trend in the area of the people who are loving the whole aspect of sustainability and traveling because they want to enjoy the L word, the eco-luxury? Do you see that as something that is happening?
Actually, and there have been studies that will say that if you ask the question, would you stay at a place which is practicing sustainability vis-a-vis a place which is not practicing sustainability, almost 100% of the people tick A. When you ask them how much premium will they pay for place A, the answer becomes much smaller than it is. However, there is one interesting distinction that I'm seeing, again to the point that David had made, that the younger generation is asking for 1+1. So sustainability, to my mind, is now basic housekeeping. It's got to be there. You have to be doing everything that you need to, because there is one planet. That much I think everybody's understood. And therefore, the fact that you won't command a premium is because you don't pay a premium for basics. And sustainability, or your practice of sustainability, is now a must-have. It's no longer an optional extra. What is being asked for and appreciated may not be with a premium, but with a preference, is when you can demonstrate the advantages that sustainability is bringing to your immediate locality. So if you can show that my water table went up, or that the villages around my hotel are clean and are recycling, that's when they will pay, not by paying a premium, but by preferring you over somebody else. And that is the ask, not sustainability, but sustainability applied and visible locally.
And I think
sorry, David. It's almost taking sustainability onto immersion with nature. Taj Exotica here, excuse me, now has a most marvelous organic vegetable garden, and it's a little hike up to the top of the hill to see it, and you can see the vegetables, the herbs that they will be using in your meal. That's the kind of thing that is the real L level. And they also have signs of the zodiac and stars garden, and they identify exactly which tree you should plant because of your particular sign. Brilliant marketing,
Yep.
because you then want to come back and see your tree, which doesn't grow very fast, so you've got to come
Keep
back
coming back.
regularly.
David, you had
Yeah,
I'm
I had a couple
sorry,
of points.
David.
I mean, they sort of revolve around the same thing. First of all, I think with regards to sustainability, there has to be a synchronization with vision. And Sonu is kind of the perfect example of this. At Soneva Fushi in the Maldives, Sonu and Eva's vision was to create an entirely different vision of what is the L word, which I also don't like to use, but it was ingrained in a sustainable purpose. And to the point on vision and youth and purpose, it's proven that in a post-COVID world, and it goes back to the point I was making about the younger generation being more fickle, the younger generation are engaging much more deeply, much more profoundly with brands with purpose. So when you're imagining your brand and you're imagining the redefinition or the deepening of your brand, it's the purpose and vision and values of the brand that have to be lived, because that's what will devanillarize. Otherwise, you run the risk, as Mary was alluding to becoming not ordinary, but vanillarizing your brand, which loses its distinction. It's all about vision, and it's all, in my opinion, about vision and purpose. And listening to the psychological deconstruction of an Oberoi guest, that's the depth that Oberoi clearly goes to in terms of forming their understanding of their typologies, forming their understanding of their behaviors, and reacting to them. And if one brand is doing that and others are not, it's absolutely abundantly clear that particularly for the higher end guest, but it runs across the spectrum, that you will lose out.
Thank you. And I know we've touched upon these trends, but because of these trends, and Mohit, you all are going into new concepts of leisure hotels with Oberoi's, Minor with its huge now worldwide range of sort of resorts and hotels, and you both with your experience globally. What are the design changes in hotels that you're seeing which is coming as a result of all that you all have spoken of? Mary?
Oh, the change, what I would like to see? What I would like to see is even more behind the scenes bespoke investigation into people who are coming to stay in a hotel. If it's easy to find out if a future guest is a football fan and put the VIP and the various ideas around that. That's very easy, and it's fun for somebody who is searching for as many details as possible. I know this because I'm actually helping a company that is finding the word of mouth informants to billionaires. This company is targeting the billionaires whom they want to attract. And these billionaires don't always use travel agents, but they're finding who this particular billionaire or that particular billionaire relies on for word of mouth.
Perfect. Sure. I'm going to have to ask you all for quick takes because I can watch the time.
Sure.
So your take on what's happening to design because of the trends.
I think, Ragini, from our point in Minor Hotels, we believe in localization. And by that, what I mean is you still have the global standards, but you have to feel that you are in that place. So for example, if you are in Chiang Rai, you should feel you're in Chiang Rai in north of Thailand. If you are in Phuket, then it should feel like you are in Phuket. I'm just giving you an example of Thailand. So globalization is key, so whether it's using local materials, and it goes hand in hand with sustainability as well, local artisans. So I think that is really, really important, and we continue to doing it. That cookie cutter style of hotels, and it doesn't matter whether it's at the L level or P level or the E level. I think across the board, people are looking for unique experiences. When they, walk into a room, they need to feel that, they have arrived in that city or that country. So I think that hyper-localization is becoming a key. And in terms of design, whatever renovations we are doing as well. So we are going to be renovating Anantara Siam in Bangkok, which has an iconic hotel for the last 40 years. It opened up as a peninsula, then it was Regent, then it was Four Seasons. Last 14 years, it's been Anantara. And we are very careful that we maintain the heritage of that property and the history that property holds.
Thank you.
I have a strong opinion on this also. It goes back to the first point that I made, that it doesn't matter what level of hotel you're staying in, this desire for connectivity, and I'll take Mary's point in terms of losing the human work, but people want to connect, they want to socialize. Citizen M in 2008, 2009, and obviously not at the super high-end level, created this engaging, co-working, but social lobbies. Those lobbies have migrated up into the upper end, and obviously the peninsula in Hong Kong is a perfect example of a social space. But I believe that the future, in terms of substantive design change, is creating spaces, no matter where they are, which are social.
So the first thing we're going to be doing is having a workshop on designing showers, because we want Mary to come and stay with us only. But flippancy aside, the design brief and our head of design is in the room, and actually there's another person in the room that I remember having deep conversations with about where design is taking or where design is going with hotels. And I think this person's boss captured it the best, and he said, once you design and build a hotel, the hotel should disappear. The physical asset should disappear and not be this massive thing that is out there to make a statement. And the second point that they made is very much the point, David, you had made, is that it needs to be a place which is designed to bring people together. And therefore, between a design that disappears, but brings people together for that human connect, I think is where we are going.
So, sorry if I can just add, it really depends on the market you're trying to attract and the location you are. So for example, if you're trying to attract the Middle Eastern market, they really don't want to socialize. They want their privacy. They want the space, they want the privacy, they want the exclusivity, and they don't want to be
But
seen.
it's also, I would counter that, it's also, I'm very familiar with the Middle Eastern market, and it's a maturing market, and this idea of isolation and privacy obviously will remain, but there's equally, as the market matures, there's a desire for connectivity.
And you can do a design which does both, so.
Sure, no, absolutely. I think that there is, it depends on your location and the market, and you're right. I mean, for example, we've got a beautiful resort off Phuket called Anantara Koi Ai. So it's got a huge family wing, probably the largest kids club in the world, and then you have like igloo designed private villas with complete privacy.
Well, we don't seem to have time for more. I had a lot more to ask you, but I think we'll let people talk to you in the break time, because I wanted to touch upon David's going into the soul of a hotel to create a brand identity, and we didn't have time for that. But thank you so much. You've been a wonderful panel, and I'm sure the people will want to talk to you a lot more.